Hi, I'm Dustin Berg with ProAVSchool.com. This video is going to show you how to integrate a Biamp Tesira Forte with a Crestron 3 series processor. I'm going to show you what module you need to download and how you need to configure everything. So let's get started. The first thing I need to do is jump over to the Crestron application market. And this is applicationmarket.crestron.com. And you want to search for Forte. Actually, you want to search for Tesira. There we go. Biamp Tesira and Tesira Lux version 3.0. As of the date of this video, which is March 23rd, 2020, this is the most current version. So I'm going to click on that there and add to cart. So then when I proceed to checkout, you might have to set up an account. It's a free download, but just applicationmarket.crestron.com. So I download my files, and these are the files that are available. I don't need the Tesira Lux. I need the Biamp Tesira version 3.0 IP driver demo. I'm basically doing the IP driver. So I'm downloading that there. Should go pretty quick. Okay, so that's done. So I'm going to show that in the folder. Doing this on my other monitor here. I'm just extracting all the files into another directory. And these are the files that you get with this archive. Now there's a way to import a project in simple Windows. I don't usually do it that way. What I usually do is I'll extract the demo project. And I like to keep my modules in the project directory for various reasons. One of them is that it's just easier to deal with them sometimes. So why don't I just take all of them, Control A, I'll copy those. Now I need to navigate to my folder where the project is. Just going to find it here off screen. So here's a directory where my simple Windows file is. I'm going to paste these in here and it will fill those all in. Now I need to go over to simple Windows. There's a project that I already started, but I didn't really add anything yet. I'm going to reload device and symbol libraries from disk, and you'll see down here, we should get project modules here. Just have to give it a second. All right, it didn't show up there because it's in the context of the program view. So if I press Alt-Y, there are the project modules under DSP. So what I should have done before I switched over is added my touch panel. This is just for a demo project, basically. TSW 760 is fine. And we're going to define a couple joins. But first of all, I'll drop in the Biamp modules that I need. Let's go with first the command processor. This is the module that you'll need that communicates with the device. And then these other modules communicate to this module with inter-system or inter-process communication, kind of behind the scenes with the simple sharp layer. You don't really have to worry about how it works, but what you should do, get into the habit of doing this, when you look at a new module, look at the help file, press F1, and it'll show you basically a bunch of stuff on how it should be used and how it should be connected. The other thing you can do if you're not sure is you can open the demo project, the one that I just basically downloaded and ignored. This project here actually has a simple Windows file in it. Sort by simple Windows program. So you could open that there, and that would show you kind of how it's supposed to be used. I already know, so I'm just dumping it in. I only want a volume and a command processor for this project here. So first thing here, connect. Again, looking at the help. You can put a 1 on the connect for this because it will attempt to connect to all the Tesiras on the rising edge of the processor. Actually, initialize is what I want. So what I want to do actually is, I was slightly incorrect. I want to put a 1 on initialize. That'll cause it to initialize. And then when it's initialized, then I want to connect. And then this will just be for watching in Debugger if I need to. So I'll comment it out. Biamp is communicating feedback. Now I realize I renamed this, I renamed it wrong, so I'm going to go Alt-R and rename it Biamp. Disconnect, we don't need that. Debug, we'll put it in there just because. An IP address, this is so it could be fed in on the fly. We don't need that. I'm going to go Control-I to auto-complete that. Connection type will be SSH. This is an ID that is referenced in all these other modules so that they know where they need to connect to, basically, behind the scenes. If you're just doing the 1, don't worry about it, leave the defaults. I'm going to do SSH, that's more secure. The IP address, I'll go, actually I'll figure out what that is, because in my network right now I'm using DHCP. And then under my touch panel, there's not much going on. I'll just show you my basic panel layout here. I've got one page, I've got it as a sub page, but it's always going to show audio with an up, down, and a volume. So 60 is up, 61 is down, and analog 1 is the feedback. So let's expand this here. TPO1. It's on the main page. The naming, don't worry about that for this video. I've experimented with some new naming in my new TLDR programming course. You can check that out, learn.proavschool.com. We're just in the middle of going through it right now. But basically, we've got some different ways of naming things. But here we'll go audio. Actually, I'll do it this way. Audio volume up dot press, and then audio volume down dot press. And these two, I'm just going to connect them directly to this module here. For people that have checked out the TLDR method, I do things a little bit differently with a bunch of different stuff, but for the purpose of this demo, I'm going to ignore that. Here I'm going to go to, I want the percent. Volume level 0 to 100% dot feedback. That's going to go to analog 1. So not much going on here, just press up, press down, feedback. Enable has to be high here. We're not using any of this other stuff. Pole level doesn't matter. I'm going to give this a name just so we can watch it. Back. And then Control-I to auto-complete that. Now this stuff we're going to fill in after we look at our Tesira file. Same with the IP address. I'm going to save this. Now I'm going to jump over to my Tesira. And now the first thing you need to do is under Preferences, I think it's Tools, Options, Application Settings. Under Network Device Discovery, you have to make sure that the interface that you're trying to discover on is highlighted. In the older audio stuff, this wasn't necessarily true. In Tesira land, I think by default they all are selected. There's also this device list. That's if the device is not on the local network and you need to connect to it through, basically through a router, like through a different network. That's why that's there. We won't worry about that for now because our Tesira Forte is connected on the same network. So now what I'm going to do is connect to it. And this is a little bit slow. It takes a little bit of time to pull things and find things. Just wait a second here. Now this is saying that it didn't find the devices that we had specified in that list. Don't worry about that for now. That's basically, you can define different devices that it will discover them. So here's my Tesira, and I need to go device maintenance. Out of the box, the Tesira will have a project running, and you can't push a new project to it if there's a project already assigned. So what I need to do is clear the project. Clear configuration. So I click down here, click clear configuration. It says warning, it will remove, it'll clear all the memory and put it on the unused list, which is what we want. Can't be undone. That's fine. It's a new thing out of the box, so we don't care. In this case, it's an old Tesira Forte I had kicking around, so it had probably something on it, but it doesn't matter. We're going to start off clean. Okay, so now we go here. It put us back here. One thing I want to do is look at device information. So Tesira Forte AI. Just going to make a quick note of that because I will forget. Okay. The other thing too, the IP address 192.168.1.220. Now, in this case, it's getting its address to DHCP. Clicking on their network settings, you can change the address here. But I'm using the DHCP address. The host name, I've already set this. By default, it comes with the host name of the device serial number and Tesira or something. I'm not sure if DNS is working correctly on my network, so I'm just going to connect to it with IP versus DNS. The other thing you're going to need to do is this here, enable SSH. So if that's not checked, you're not going to be able to connect to it from the module. Enable telnet, you don't need to have that checked. And credentials, just trying to remember where the credentials are. I think that's in a different spot, probably security settings. Some of these changes are a little bit slow, but it's just the nature of the device that you're working with. Okay, successfully changed. Now we might have to actually connect to it again, we'll see here. But I wanted to take a quick look at the security settings. I'm just going to leave them as the default, but I figured we should take a look just so you know where to change them. So again, you click on the device and security settings. So protect device. I guess once you do that, then you need to use special credentials. I've never really had to do that yet. I probably should start looking at that a bit more. But so far I just use the default admin password, always on like a locked in internal network. But there's a way to change that. Okay, so that's done. So first thing we need to do, there is, before you wipe the configuration, I guess there's a file on there that you can also download from the Biamp website for the default configuration. But here I'm just going to build a very quick one. So clicking on IO blocks, Tesira Forte, and I said it was an AI. So in this case, I'm not going to use USB. I don't need it. and basically I just drop the blocks on there, input and output blocks. Now one thing with the Tesira software, if you don't have an input to output connected, then it won't compile. So that's going to cause us problems, even for our little test. So we're going to have to define some stuff. Let's give ourselves a level, which is a control block, level, one channel. And I think we can just basically do this for the purposes of this demo. We're just going in to out with a level. Now one thing that's important here is the instance tag. We could have just left it as what it automatically assigns, but I want to call it something. I'll call it volume level. And then we need to save it. Let's just go and find a different spot for it here. Actually, it's fine. Data files, Tesira demo. So I got that. Now I go system, compilation, recompile all partitions. Hardware configuration of your system, Tesira Forte AI. That's because these are the types of blocks that I used. And now here's the thing that might not actually make sense. First of all, I guess before I do that, you want to make sure that there's no warnings. Sometimes it'll give you warnings saying that things didn't get included. And you got to watch out for that because it's not immediately obvious. So now what I want to do is do tools or system equipment table. The equipment table in Biamp land is what maps your project to an actual physical device. And it's how the system knows what devices it's uploading to. So here, in this case, it's not defined. I get a drop down and I can pick my device. If I hadn't cleared the configuration, my device would not show up in this list. So that would be a problem. So obviously clearing the configuration first solves that issue. Save it. I will compile it again. I don't think you actually have to compile it in terms of the equipment table. Notice the star or the asterisk there. That means it's unsaved. So I'm going to save that. Now connect to system, and I'm going to push this file. And with this selected, all devices, because it's going to rely on the equipment table, I do send system config. And here I can name it. I like to put the date here, like 03/23/2020. So then that gets saved or pushed. And then do you want to start system audio? Yes, I do. Start all. Close. Now this is live and running. We didn't put any meters on, and I don't actually have anything connected to this device, so you can't really see much. But you can see the level, and when we move it from Crestron, we'll see it move in here. So now let's jump over to Crestron and fill in some of those gaps. One of the things was the IP address, which we'll just double check. I think it was 220, actually it was. So 192.168.1.220. And then the other thing we need is this attribute code. That's what we called volume. Oops, I'm wrong. Instance tag is volume level. Attribute code, this is what type of device we're controlling. Not the Tesira, this is the type of block that we're controlling. And it's a level block, so we'll connect to level there. Instance or index. These are a little bit different based on how you have things set up. But look at the help file and look at the demos to see how you're supposed to use it. Part of the control protocol may use index 1. When index 1 is not required, this parameter needs to be set to 0. This is where one other thing might come in handy for you. it's the Biamp Tesira command string calculator. You can just search for it on Google. And this will tell you the commands. Now you don't actually need to use them because your module is going to do that. But if you're confused of what these indexes should be, this might help you. So if I look at level control, what attribute of the block, level, what action, set, which channel of the block, channel 1, because it's a 1-channel block. Say we want to set it to whatever, and this is so this, you don't need to use this command. I mean, you could if you wanted to connect with SSH and try it out, but this is what the module will send. It's just figuring this out, that attribute, that's index, or sorry, the index is 1 there. If you had a 2-channel volume control, that would change to 2. You can see there's not a second attribute because that's part, or a second index. That's part of the actual command value. So I just wanted to show you that quick because it took me a while to figure some of that stuff out. So anyways, this is filled in. This is filled in. I think we got everything we need. So I'm going to compile this project. And then I need to connect. I'm just going to use Toolbox to do it. CP3N. Everything takes longer when you're waiting for it here. This is the one that this is not my file, it's Tesira demo. Okay, and send that. Yes, I want it to run slot 1. Yes, I want it to update the IP table. And while that's doing its thing, the other thing I need to do is compile this project. And I'm going to run it as 2.168. I think it's 1.96. IPID 03. Basically, I'm running it as an X panel. So let's see here. Close. So first thing, I look at the IP table, and my touch panel is online. That's coming from this. Let's look at Debugger. So we don't have Biamp is initialized. Now let's double check that that IP address is correct. See that I have to disconnect, connect again, and do device maintenance once it lets me in. What kind of device information is all I need? 1.220. That's definitely what we got here. So I'm going to go Windows run and command. Let's drag it over here. Ping. See if it's alive. It is. So something went slightly wrong here. I think connect, I think I misread that. I usually just have these all as one, but basically this should have been a 1, or some other logic that started at a different time. Just comment that out. I'll recompile this. And I like to load, actually I usually load from FTP, but for this demo I'm just doing it from Toolbox Device Discovery. I'll send same one. Knowing how to troubleshoot issues like this is super important too. Just the process of, if it's a network device, can you ping it? Is your computer on the same network, or is the processor on the same network, basically? I already know I can talk to the processor, so my computer should be able to ping it. The next step I might have taken was doing a terminal window from the processor itself and try to ping the Biamp. But that's also why I have some of these signals defined, the commented out signals, so that I can watch and see what's going on. So if I reconnect my debugger here, synchronize everything, and I think we might just have to wait. Yeah, there we go. It takes a little bit of time for it to start its sequence, because it has to talk to all the different modules and figure out what it's doing. And so it's communicating, it's initialized, my volume is initialized, and let's see what's going on the panel here. So here we have level that's changing. Now the change is pretty slow. That change is defined by the level step. So if we wanted it to change faster, we could put it as 3 dB or 6 dB. We can also send the exact level here. You just have to be careful that you don't want to send like an analog ramp into this, because it's not really built to handle stuff that way. I think it has an internal like 0.3 second delay, so you'd really get like jumping if you tried to do it that way. But this is all fine and nice, but what you want to really see is what's going on with the Tesira, right? So if you see the grid behind here, that's an indicator that we're actually offline. Yeah, it says down here too, but I always just look at the grid. So if I look in here, this is one of the things that I'll fight with all the time, is I'll be changing it here and realize it's not going, but then, oh yeah, I'm not actually connected. So I want to connect, because remember we disconnected when we were looking at the network stuff. Connect again. Okay, now this time I don't want to send the file, it's already there. So instead of send system config, I'm going to click there and connect to system. This will pull the running configuration. The reason it says save changes to Tesira demo is it's going to dump the file that is got loaded in the editor here and pull from the Tesira. So I don't want to save changes, I don't really care. And now you see that grid went away. You can say C system connected. So now I look in there, and as I move this, you see the level changing there. And that level should actually be a subscribed level, so when I change it here, it changes there. The other thing that this module will do for you is if you set these minimum and maximum and restart this project, it will basically behave, it'll respect those boundaries, because you notice there's no boundary setting here. So let me just show you quickly how that would work, because it's really easy to actually do. So I've got my project, I've got everything running. Let's change it maximum of 0 and minimum of, say, minus 40 dB. So that changes the range. Well, over here, I made the change, but obviously the control system isn't going to quite work right. It doesn't get the 100% and everything. So basically I just need to restart the program, which I can do either with a console command to the Crestron or just here in the program, restart. So restart it here. restarted. I can reconnect here. Synchronize all the signals. We'll just wait a moment here for this to reconnect itself. Well, it's not connected. We're not even really seeing any level there. So you might want to use that is initialized feedback as something to unmask or enable your volume controls on the UI side if you want. So now it's connected, and now you can see this percentage is relative to that. So if I go down, it won't let me go past 40, and same thing with the top. Speed that up a little bit. It won't let you go past. So anyways, that is Biamp Tesira kind of in a nutshell. So hope you enjoyed this demo, and if you have any questions, post below, or better yet, I'm not really the best at dealing with YouTube comments. I tend to kind of miss them sometimes. If you join the Pro AV School audiovisual community on Facebook, I'm pretty active in that group, and I can answer questions and stuff like that there and get some more feedback on types of stuff that you want to see. So it's proavschool.com/group, I believe. The other thing I want to mention is we've got some interesting new trainings. The TLDR method that I talked about is a really great programming training. We're going through the first beta group right now, and we'll be opening up for regular registration in May. But if you go to proavschool.com, actually if you go to tldrmethod.com, that's where you can find out some more information and sign up to be notified. So thanks for watching, and I hope this helped you out. Thanks.